Hi there, my name is Christian Clavel and I'm coming to you from Canadian First Aid Training Limited. In this video I will do a diagnostic test as well as overall assessment and servicing of the Philips Heart Start on-site as well as home automated external defibrillators. Now before we go any further, if you happen to have any questions, concerns, or comments stemming from this video, please feel free to contact us at the information provided below. We'd be more than happy to help. Now once you access the defibrillator, whether it be through the alarmed security box, the wall-mounted bracket, or the Pelican hard case, there are a few things to keep in mind before you take the defibrillator out of the soft case. The first of which being that you do a visual to make sure that the defibrillator has passed its last diagnostic test. The way that you do this is by looking through the upper right part of the casing here. There will be a green flickering LED light. If the LED light is flickering every 4 to 5 seconds, that means that the defibrillator itself has passed its last test. The defibrillator itself does a test on itself every day, every week, every month to make sure that the defibrillator as well as the battery are in working order, and it also makes sure that the gel consistency on the electrode pads is ready to be used as well. If it's not flickering green, that may mean that the defibrillator itself is not functioning. And maybe the main reason for you to do this servicing is because the defibrillator is chirping. The defibrillator will not have a flickering green light, will be chirping, and that means that something needs to be done in terms of servicing. Again, if you happen to have any questions throughout this process, please feel free to contact us at the information provided below. Now, quite simply, first of all, you need to have access to the defibrillator. Unzipping the soft case, there are a few visuals that you would need to do before taking the defibrillator out of the case. The first of which, to make sure that there is a set of scissors up here in the inner part of the casing. The second of which would be to make sure that the quick reference guide here is in place as well. Now to take out the defibrillator from the soft case, it is quite simple, but there is a little strip of Velcro that holds the defibrillator in the case, so you may have to be a teensy bit forceful to take out the defibrillator. Put the case over here, and in terms of visuals, there are a couple things to do here as well. Now, before going any further, a couple things need to be known. The electrode pads have an expiry date from the date of manufacture, which means that in this case, the expiry date on these pads is 12/2008. Basically, that means that this set of pads is actually expired and cannot be put in the machine. Okay? Now, there is a 2-year expiry date, usually. In the defibrillator itself here, it's 03, so March 2011. So that means that it is still good. In terms of the battery, however, it's a little bit different. The battery itself has a 5-year shelf life and is typically good for 4 years in the defibrillator. So in other words, the install before date of this battery is 01/2011. So as long as the battery is installed in a defibrillator before 01, so January 2011, that means that from that point on the battery will be good for 4 years. Now to do the servicing on the on-site as well as home defibrillators is actually quite simple. First of which would be to turn the defibrillator around and to take out the big 9-volt battery that I've just shown you. Quite simply, go on the top part here and pull out the battery. The second thing to take out would be the electrode pads. There's a little clip on the top here. You push to the side, the set of pads will fall out, and now we've taken everything apart that needs to be taken apart. Putting this back together will, for most intents and purposes, start the diagnostic process. By putting the battery back in, the machine will start to process, it will start to initiate the actual diagnostic on itself to make sure that it's in working order. It does it automatically, but if it's a company policy to do this every month, every 6 months, again, for you to decide, all it would require for you to do would be to take out the electrode pads, make sure that the expiry date is within the 2-year window. So in this case, 03/2011, so it's good for 2 years from this point. Put this back in. And to put the battery back in. Put the battery back into the back.
Self-test. In case of emergency, press the green on-off button.
It's not an emergency, so we won't press the green button.
If the orange button is flashing, press it.
It is safe to press the flashing orange button.
Verified. Testing.
It'll do this testing for about 1 or 1.5 minutes while you're waiting.
Testing.
Put the defibrillator back in.
Testing. Testing.
You will start to hear clicking sounds within the defibrillator.
Testing.
And at this point, you can move on to starting to make sure that the rest of the accessories are in good working order.
Testing.
There is a fast response kit that's attached to the defibrillator.
Testing.
And there are 5 things within this fast response kit.
Testing.
As you may have heard there was a clicking sound.
Ready for use. In case of emergency, press the green on-off button.
And as you will see, that little green light has now shut off and will now start to flicker every 4 to 5 seconds. Now, as mentioned in this fast response kit, there are 5 things that need to be maintained in a little kit attached to the defibrillator. The first of which is a pair of scissors, a razor, a pair of gloves, a fast response kit, and a little wipe pad / paper towel to make sure that if the electrode pads are put on the person's chest, that the chest is nice and dry. So as long as those 5 components are in the fast response kit, that will be all that's required to make sure that that's good to go. In terms of the accessories and the extras, depending on what the company has decided to purchase, there may be an extra battery. In this case, it's still within its plastic case. And the install before date is 03/2014. So that means before March of 2014, as long as this battery is installed, it will be good. And as for the extra set of pads, 03/2011. So again, we still have 2 years left on the expiry dates. So to close that up, quite simply, close the case. And again, if you look through this little window here, the little green flickering light will happen every 4 to 5 seconds. Okay. If you're accessing the defibrillator through a Pelican hard case, the servicing is identical. It's just to access the defibrillator is a little bit different. Through these little casings here, these are actually making sure that there's a nice seal, waterproof, dustproof seal around the defibrillator, and these are typically used for sports teams, for fire departments, for construction sites that need a little bit more ruggedness to be affiliated with the protection of the defibrillator. And to access the defibrillator would be to just take up these 2 clips. If there's a lock on it, then it would obviously to take off the lock. It is possible also that there are these little tie wraps that are being used to make sure that the defibrillator itself has not been tampered with that go through these little holes. Again, that's a company policy decision. Accessing the defibrillator, you would be able to see that it would be as simple as taking out the defibrillator from the case itself and to go through making sure that all the accessories that are related to the defibrillator are in place. So that's the completion of the diagnostic test for the Philips HeartStart on-site as well as home defibrillators. Again, if you happen to have any questions, concerns, or comments, please feel free to contact us again at the information provided below. For your convenience, we've also included the owner's manual for the on-site as well as home defibrillators below this little link for the video. Thanks again for joining us on our website. Again, feel free to visit us anytime. Thanks again.